right. And on the luxury transport business package, this one is great. So, this comes with all these standard ready to launch things with advertising, the website, of course, the custom domain name, your customized logo, your client management system. But this one in particular is different from all other ones. This has got some very specific software that it comes with. And I've used this software. That was part of the reason that we chose this software. So my niece was visiting me, and she had an appointment in a city that was, a couple hours away. And she was going to hop buses because she didn't have a car. She was going to hop buses to go to that city and then to come back. And I thought, gosh, number one, like that's a huge time waste to me.
Oh, yeah.
But number two, like I my sweet little niece on a bus system going through these downtown inner city areas, it's like, I'll get you a car. We'll get you a car. So we reserved a car. And I used this online reservation system, and it was so easy. I didn't talk to anybody. I went online. I entered my starting address. I entered the ending address. And, based on the rates of this company for this town car service, it automatically calculated it out and said, it's going to be this price. I paid it. I reserved it. They sent me a text message saying your car's here, or first it was, you're reserved, you're confirmed. I got email confirmation. I got my receipt via email. I paid with my card, and it all happened on an automated basis. Nobody on the car company side lifted a finger. It was super, super, super slick. So years later, we're going back and we're going, okay, how do we put these packages together for these entrepreneurs? And I said, I remember I was so impressed. This was years ago. I was so impressed with this specific software. I contacted the company and I said, hey, what software do you use? So they put me in touch with the software manufacturer. So this package, we set you up with this software. So in addition to all of the things that every ready to launch business package comes with, and the things that this package specifically comes with, and they're listed, down below in the business description area. But this is the limo dispatch software setup is what they call it. And so, there's an online reservation system, dispatches your drivers. If you're, not the only one driving, or it dispatches you, it can locate your drivers, has an account system for your clients, has an invoicing system, takes credit cards, does email confirmations, does, text message notification, and it calculates how much to pay your drivers. So talk about a way to scale right out of the box.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's, I imagine for most people in this industry, that's a major component of their overhead is staffing for, all of those administrative functions that you're just basically putting into this one-stop shop system. So, yeah, I mean, I think that there's major advantages in that. And I think on the consumer demand side, I mean, you have all of these rideshare companies, things like that are unpredictable, that aren't as, clear cut.
Yeah.
And I think having something like this where there's security in the reservation, the logistics are heavily managed, I think that that's a situation where you're going to find a major demand. And I think it affords that flexibility as well that a lot of these other programs do, where you can kind of configure your offered services based on what you want to do. And, just like you said, be able to scale this model up to, whatever level that you want and basically hit the ground running with this.
Yeah. Well, and, the nice thing is so we talked about, the online one-off reservations, which I think is a huge part of this business. But the other side that's interesting about what we're doing here is, you view the sample website and you kind of see, maybe you need something daily and you like the driver. I was in New York City and we were staying in New Jersey and we rode the subway tram system, whatever. I guess it's not a subway. Subway's underground. It was like the tram system. Train thing from New Jersey to New York. And then we went to the subway and took the subway down to Manhattan. And we, walked around Manhattan. We went to the World Trade Center. That was amazing. Went to Central Park and my 4 kids and I and my wife, it was hot. I think it was July. It was muggy. We had a stroller with us. We really didn't want to go back down and reroute our whole way back to New Jersey. So we got this. We went to a hotel. They called us luxury transport service, I guess is lack of a better term. It was a guy with a really nice, it was either Suburban or an Escalade, but he came, picked us up, and he took us back, and we were talking throughout this process. And he was talking to me, this is years ago, but he was talking to me about the difficulties of balancing his business because he's got all these tolls to pay. He pays thousands of dollars in tolls a month. And so he's got to balance that out with his cash flow of these rides that he's doing on a one-off basis. Well, this package, customers, specifically his, because he's in an area where it's, the people like him. He's a really nice guy. The people like him. They're comfortable with him. I mean, you read the news about some of these big, huge rideshare companies, and I think, overall, most of the time it's a good experience. But there's some scary things that happen with these rideshare services. So when I know this person, I know that they can come pick me up every Monday and Wednesday and take me to the office or take me to wherever I need to go. I don't have to worry about parking. I don't have to worry about anything. For the consumer, it's a great deal. It provides predictability. For the business owner of the luxury transport package, you're able to cover all your overhead without having to juggle a whole bunch of cash flow, because now your regulars are just getting billed once a month, deposited into your account, and it makes it way more streamlined, way easier to operate the company.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, I could see the demand being just insane for this because you have business professionals that maybe they fly out and fly back in every single week. Just maybe they, are working in an urban area where parking isn't feasible and, our getting into the office just isn't, it's ultimately a better value for them to have a service like this. So I think that, from the consumer demand side there, and then with the subscription model, like you said, it kind of evens things out. You have that consistency of cash flow. You can forecast profitability. Ultimately, I think it probably evens out a lot of things that were in this industry. There's normally a lot of volatility.
Now, you've worked under our business methodology. Tell me how our way of doing things has impacted your life.
Well, it's improved my life in many different ways. I've learned to, operate in business more efficiently, more strategically, with a greater focus on win-win outcomes, where the business is profiting, but the, clients and customers are happy. So it's been a very enriching process, and I've learned a lot from you guys. You guys have that entrepreneurial spirit that just makes for good business, and so it's been just an absolute pleasure working with you guys.
And now, what about financially? How would you say your situation is different?
Well, it's been enormously personally rewarding, financially rewarding. We've been able to do things we never imagined being able to do just a few years before. Your unique approach to business has enabled us to, be more profitable than our competitors. We've had a better work-life balance, I think, than most people who, even get close to approaching our income threshold. So I think really, as rewarding as something could be, it has been for us.
Now, do you feel like our way of doing things has profitability advantages over traditional ways of doing business?
Oh, most certainly. Yeah. I think you can, tell just by our history of growth. I think, are willing to adapt our business strategies, fill any niche role that's out there, and just, capitalize on things that other businesses aren't even aware of. So, yeah, I think we, have had a much greater level of success than our competitors with more profitability and oftentimes less busy work.
Yeah, certainly. And I think too, with the startup series goes over all sorts of that kind of stuff. And just the ways that we've been luckily forced to adapt and learn how to do things with less staff and, more technology based or more efficiency based, just really picking things apart down to the typing of emails or not. Stuff like that makes a huge difference, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Breaking things down to their kind of constituent components, seeing what you absolutely have to have, what's not necessary, and then putting your energy behind what drives, maximum productivity and profitability. And I think that's where we've had a lot of our success.
Now, Justin, what would you say to someone who is thinking about buying one of these business packages, but is maybe nervous about starting a business from scratch instead of going with a more expensive traditional franchise, or maybe nervous about something else with starting a business?
Well, I would say that, now is a very good time, I think, for someone to look at starting their own business. And I think, when you're weighing these options, say in comparison to a more expensive franchise, I think the flexibility that's afforded because you still own and have control of your own business, I think that's
Absolutely.
huge. I think that's why a lot of people start a business. They don't
Yep.
want to have to report to someone and curtail their goal and operations based on the direction of somebody else. So I think
Yeah.
you get all of those benefits. But I think the other thing that's a major advantage is that it is lower cost. You're not paying a percentage of your income for an indefinite period. You just have the ability to take a proven model, to adapt it to your specific situation, to be given all the tools to implement your strategy and your goals and to achieve it. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, obviously, that started several businesses. When I look back over what worked really well and what did not work really well, it's the unknowns that are waiting out there to just grab you by the foot and trip you up. And that's really what I think makes businesses fail. I think there's probably two major things that make businesses fail. Number one is not knowing a system and process that's proven for success, which it takes a while to get there. And then number two is just these pitfalls that every single entrepreneur will face at some point in time or another. And having the startup series as a guide to continually reference back to me, makes all the difference in the world compared to somebody that does not have that resource. And business consultants are really, really, really expensive. It's a good way to, especially when you're in the startup phases, that's a good way to really drain profitability, is having to call somebody and pay them by the hour every time you have a question, rather than just referencing a resource that you've got on your computer.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're getting basically a veteran business model that works,
Yeah.
and you're able to use that from the get-go. So, I mean, it's like, taking the Microsoft model when you're starting a software company. It's as good a start as you could have.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining me here and going over these business packages. And, for you guys there thinking about this, you can submit on our website or you can give us a call at 844-500-6620 and speak with a business launching consultant. Again, that's 844-500-6620. Thanks so much.